Australia's peak medical groups, they've launched a campaign in support of this idea of 60-day scripts for common medication. This is an attempt to counter what they allege are the scare tactics of the Pharmacy Guild. Joining me now is Professor Steve Robson, President of the Australian Medical Association. Great to have you with us. Explain why you've decided that you will support this idea of 60-day script repeats.
Yeah, well, good evening. We've been supporting the idea for a long time. In fact, it was suggested about 5 years ago by the Pharmaceutical Benefits Advisory Committee, and it's about cost of living. It is about making it easier for those Australians, millions of them, who have cost of living pressures at the moment, being able to afford the medications that they need. The Productivity Commission has reported that more and more Australians are skipping vital medications because they just can't afford them. So this is all about cost of living, Steve.
Yeah, I remember last year interviewing a pharmacist actually who said to me that one of the most heartbreaking things that happens is when a consumer comes in and says, oh, well, I've got 3 scripts here, but I can only afford to fill out one of them. I mean, that's horrendous.
It's a terrible situation. We should have a world-class health system, and we do, but affordability comes into things, and we know lots and lots of Australians, I'm sure lots of your viewers, are doing it tough now, and the opportunity to save a lot of money on medications is really important to them. And we support it from the patient's point of view, making medications cheaper and affordable.
Why do you think the pharmacists are so opposed to this idea?
Look, I can't really speak for the pharmacists. I think if we look at the information, there are well over 2,000 drugs available in Australia. About 900 of them are subsidised on the PBS. And this proposal from PBAC deals with about 300. It's being phased in over several years, only a small number of medications to start with. And in the end, it's your doctor's discretion. So if your GP thinks that you are appropriate, that you're stable, and they're happy for you to have large amounts dispensed, it just makes good sense to us. And I think the groups really supporting this are consumer groups, groups that represent older Australians. I saw that FECA, the group that represents migrants and refugees, all of the people who have to pay for the medications really support this, and we agree with them.
Are you at odds with the GPs?
I'm not at odds with the GPs, really, Steve. I think the GPs, the College of GPs, certainly support this. There's really very broad community support for it as an initiative.
Well, the reason I ask that question, obviously, clearly, if you get a script that lasts, for a longer period of time, that's least number of times you need to go back to your GP. And so I would have thought as small businesses, the GPs might not be all that happy about that.
Well, I think GPs are behind it because we know at the moment it's really very, very difficult to get in to see a GP. So if you have things that are relatively routine, like going to see a GP to get a repeat prescription, and you don't have to do that, then it actually frees up spots for people who need those appointments. In fact, I think the data suggests that something like 150,000 new GP spots will become available with this. So it certainly makes good sense for all those Australians who can't get in to see a GP. It's a win-win-win situation, Steve.
So who's going to win this little battle, do you believe? I mean, are we going to get to the point where we will get those repeats more easily?
Look, I think it's not the right thing to think of it as a battle. I think it's about cost of living, and I hope the winner out of this is Australians and Australian families who really are facing enormous cost of living pressures. I'm sure a lot of your viewers are in that situation, and they welcome the fact that finally, if they're on a number of medications, it's going to save them hundreds, potentially hundreds and hundreds of dollars a year. For a family, it may even be more. And at this time, it's just something we want to support. So we really hope the patients are the winners here, Steve.
Steve Robson from the AMA, great to catch up with you. Thanks you very much for that.